The whole lecture, we will try to understand what is Pumsavana Samskara. It's a part of Vedic and Ayurvedic embryo stabilization methods, which are conducted around the end of the first trimester. At 9 weeks, 50% of the fetus is composed of the head, and the 9th through 12th weeks are marked by acceleration in body growth. At 10 weeks, the knees begin to rotate ventrally and the soles of the feet become reoriented with the plantar surface on the ventral aspect. In the 10th week, the hindbrain develops and the cerebellum takes form. It is not until 12 weeks that the corpus callosum begins the first stages of development that will continue through the second trimester. From 10 to 12 weeks, the male or female genitalia differentiate. The intestines begin to return to the abdominal cavity in the 10th week, with full return by the end of the 11th week. Between weeks 10 through 12, the two shells of the definite palate fuse in the midline. Primary ossification centers appear by 12 weeks. The lower limbs have reached their final relative length, and the upper limbs are nearly at their relative length. Between 9 and 12 weeks, the fetal kidneys begin urine production and excretion into the amniotic fluid. Weeks 13 to 14 are marked by more fetal growth. Limb movements become coordinated by 14 weeks. The eyes begin to rotate from anterolateral to anterior. These are some of the factors which has been identified and tabularized here in this slide. We see in abroad, there are at least 4 different ways to predict the gender of the baby. Traditional ultrasound, which is popular, having low risk. Then the one we have non-invasive prenatal testing, NIPT, for mainly used for congenital disease testing. Then you have the amniocentesis, which is a rare and high risk one. And also chorionic villus sampling, CVS. It's a rare and invasive one. Some of these are based on the DNA tests, where it's going to identify the presence of the chromosomes, which are actually secreted from the fetus to the mother. So around 20 ml of blood is drawn in NIPT or even in the amniocentesis. And the presence of Y chromosome, consider if it is more. If it is present, Y chromosome is present. then it gives the idea that the embryo is having male characteristics, else in the other part it is having female characteristics. So this test can be done as early as of 7 weeks. Even before than that, there were some experiments done, which are noted in several standard medical journals. But at least by 7th week, by this method, the gender identification can be done. So this gives the idea that the external development of genital organs is different from the internal chromosome structure. So internal chromosome structure would have happened very early before the expression of those gender related organs. Anyway, those are the highly scientific and medical diagnostic procedures followed in abroad. But in India, it's strictly prohibited by the PC and PNDT Act of 1994. The salient features of this act it prohibits the sex selection before and after the conception. Okay, you can't decide. You're not allowed to select the gender before or after the conception in any way, in any method. And also it prohibits the misuse of preconception and prenatal diagnostic techniques for determination of sex of the fetus. Okay, it's related to preconception as well as prenatal diagnostic techniques. Then it is also prohibiting the advertisements of such techniques for detection or determination of sex of the fetus, even through the internet. It's not allowed. And the registration is compulsory for the facilities providing the preconception and prenatal diagnostics that are capable of determining the sex of the fetus. Maintenance and preservation of records is compulsory in the prescribed formats, including the Form F. Okay, so there are very strict regulations, laws up to 3 years of imprisonment, 5 years of imprisonment, suspension of medical registration, all those things. Even the doctor or persons who perform these tests, husbands or relatives of the pregnant woman who insists these tests, all these people are liable for imprisonment. Okay, this is because the female genocide happened in India due to enormous reasons. It's all blind beliefs and the mass hysteria created, for which some people are attributing the name of Shastras, some people attribute the name of their social responsibilities of male against the female. All these reasons are fake. None of our scriptures say these things. It's all adulterated in the middle. So during the foreign rule over India, and also by some cricket scholars who have spread the misinformation related to these things. So never ever do the gender selection and save the child. That's mainly the girl child. With this caution, let's see what is Prasutika Vijnana, which is basically propounded by the Brahma Rishi Bharadvaja. In Rigveda, you can find this Bharadvaja Mandala. uh, talks in depth about the Prasutika Vijnana, that's gynecology. Because sage Bharadwaja, if you see the lineage of Bharadwaja and Bhrigus, so the Brugangirasa Yuddha is very famous. It happened crores of years. Whenever Bharadwaja lineage were having the progeny, these Bhrigus were performing several acts to destroy their offspring. That's why the Angirasa or this Bharadwaja Gana did an extensive research on Prasutika Vijnana, and sage Bharadwaja says that female body is the nature. It is very important than anything else in this world. So, starting from the female body towards the preconception, conception, and the development of fetus, the whole pregnancy journey, as well as even after the pregnancy, postnatal care, prenatal care, postnatal care, all these things are uh, discussed in depth, and those are done by the well-defined scientific experiments. It's not by just by some theoretical observations. Okay, this has been written and preserved in respective rishi lineage, that is Bharadwaja Ashrama and Bharadwaja Angirasa Gana, Angirasa Ashramas, and some of the sadhus, sants, and tapasvis. They are, and also Ayurveda tajnas or vaidyas in those parampara or those rishi lineage. They have understood this. And this was continued by a huge group of Rigvedic Brahma Rishis. You know, there is an Atreya Mandala. Several lakhs of Atreyas were there. Starting from the sage Dattatreya, this Nath Parampara or Dattatreya Parampara or Parampara of Atreyas flourished. So that itself got split into several paramparas like Vaishnava, Shaiva, Saura, Ganapatya, etc. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of rituals, different studies, division of the scriptures into the Tantra Kanda, Bhakti Kanda, Jnana Kanda, like that. So all these contributions goes to none other than the great Dattatreya Muni. So the followers of this Atreya Parampara, one of the sects in that, so they wrote several Atreya Samhitas related to the studies what they have done from several generations and several groups based on the idea of sage Dattatreya. So the Prasutika Vijnana, which was there in Bharadwaja Mandala, it was again further explored by the Atreya Muni Gana, and it was well written and preserved in Brahmi language and Brahmi script. The Vedas are in Brahmi language and also in Brahmi script. For example, it is a very highly compressed secret language and secret script developed by the same Brahma Rishis who were the mantra drashtaras. The whole Veda has been written in 6 palm leaves. So such a high compressed writing is possible in the Brahmi language and in the Brahmi script. So these Samshodhanas are written in several scripts and several languages, mainly starting from the Brahmi language. So Atreya Samhitas are there. So one of the Atreyas, who is known as Punarvasu Atreya, so he also has taken one of the Atreya Samhitas and did the study in his lineage. And Charaka was a pupil or disciple of this Punarvasu Atreya. And what Charaka did is he took the tantra named as Agnivesha Tantra, which was written by Agnivesha, and also certain other factors which was present in his time. Charaka compiled all of them, edited and modified. So then published in the name of Charaka Samhita. That is what we get now as one of the primary texts of Ayurveda. So this involves some amount of information related to the Prasutika Vijnana, but not to the level what Atreya Samhita or the Bharadwaja's Prasutika Vijnana has propounded. So still that lineage, the original scriptures and the details about the original um, Prasutika Vijnana resides in the among the Parivrajaka's and some of the Brahma Rishis, who are also teaching and making ready some of the Ayurveda Vaidyas. So from such a lineage, so when we see the Pumsavana Samskara, which is present in several scriptures of original Smriti Granthas, that is 27 Smritis or the Sutrakaras are there who have divided the earth into 27 parts, and each region is attributed by one of the Sutrakaras. So everybody has to lead their life according to the sutra which is applicable to the region where they are living. So if we see that, so starting from the sage Katyayana, who is one of the core Sutrakaras, so it's a mother, she is a mother, Katyayana. So she's said to be the uh, Mula of all the Sutrakaras. So she has, as a mother, she has done an in-depth study of Bharadwaja's Prasutika Vijnana, as well as several other Ayurveda and Veda-based scriptures, and came up with um, all the samskaras, which was carried again down to several other Sutrakaras like Bodhayana, Ashvalayana, Apastamba, etc. So there are minor differences between them, but the majority of the books published during the British reign over India doesn't have the actual value or the actual text uh, from which was written by the real Sutrakaras. There are so many modifications happened on them, but the original texts reside with the Rishi lineage in terms of written as well as in terms of memory. So both exists. So one of such compiled uh, samskara ritual, the Pumsavana. So I'm just giving the glimpse of that here. Okay, how what exactly that Pumsavana Samskara is all about. This is from unpublished scripts and compiled from those original scriptures which are written in Brahmi language and Brahmi script, and it is compiled for the present day Pumsavana Samskara as per the Vedangas. Okay, Samskara is done in the Sautramani Yaga, for which runs for an year in the Sautramani Yaga with the presence of highest level of rishis and devatas. This Mula Sutra Samskara happens, and that is applicable for this particular period and the region where we are living now. So if you see the Sankalpa or how this Pumsavana is carried, I'm not going to discuss in detail about the procedures and all, but to give an overall idea, so how the husband with her wife does this Pumsavana Samskara in the third month. Around third month, there are specific number of days, starting from the end of the second month and till the beginning and some more days of the third month. So the main reason, as I said, it's for the stabilization of the embryo. If you see the sankalpa or the procedure, how this is carried out, it is like this. अस्यां मम भार्यायाम् उत्पत्स्यमान सर्वगर्भाणां वैदिकगार्भिकदोषपरिहारपूर्वक पुंरूपता ज्ञानादाय प्रतिरोधपरिहारद्वारा पुंसवनवलोकनाञ्चिततडामवस्यां भार्यायां गर्भाभिवृद्धि परिपन्थि पिशित रुधिर प्रिय स्थिर क्षेम दृढ सशक्तारोग्य लक्ष्मी सिद्ध्यर्थे भूतराक्षसी गत दूर भूतराक्षसी गण दूर सनक्षेम सकल सौभाग्य निधान भूत महालक्ष्मी समावेशन द्वारा प्रतिगर्भम बीजगर्भ समुद्भव हैरणोसि वर्ण जनघाति क्षय द्वारा च त्रिसंस्कार रूपम पुंसवनोन्नयनाख्यम कर्मम. So to give an overall idea of what it is telling, so in the wife of the Yajamana who is sitting over there, all the garbhas which she is carrying, so there are different koshas like Vaijika kosha or Vaijika kosha or the Garbha kosha. The problems or the doshas which would have been occurred in the Garbha kosha or the Vaijika kosha or any other kosha, so that has to be rectified. Through that, Pumrupata Jnanadaya. That means to get a Pum means stability. It's nothing related to male. You know, the word, it's a Brahmi language word which is used here. To get a proper shape and the strength to the embryo, the bhruna, and then to stop the loss of intelligence, stop the problems that can occur in the brain. All those things are tried to be stopped by the practice which is going to be done in the Pumsavana ritual and also the treatment procedure. It's a high degree of blind belief saying that Pumsavana is to get the male progeny. It is only to give the embryo the required stabilization and also remove certain ill effects which may be there on that. The Garbhankura Samaya. So when the Garbha has become sprout, so Garbhankura Samaya or the time, it is not fixed. Sometimes it cannot be fixed. So that's why the sutra says that you can do a guess of Amavasya or Purnima, the new moon day or the full moon day. After that, the Garbha Ankura has happened. So like that, based on the Jyotisha and the menstrual period dates. So the guess can be done. Even the modern techniques also do this kind of guess, but they don't consider the moment of moon, which is actually considered in the astrology, Vedic astrology. So due to this, the wife in her garbha, development of the fetus, So she should get the Paripanthi Pishita Rudira Priya Stira Kshema Dhruta Sashakta Arogya named Ashtalakshmis. For example, the Rudira is the blood. There should be all the proper ingredients of blood be present over there. Saptadhatu Sanghatana and Panchakosha Sanghatana happens in its own way. But these are all the Shaktis or which gives the presence in this earth. Lam Kshmadayate iti. That's what the Lakshmi means. So, and also the Bhuta Rakshasa and any other negative forces. So these are all negative energies which are present in terms of the bodily structures as well as the external factors in terms of the light waves or the sound waves or even in terms of some of the chemical agents. So they are termed as Bhuta, Rakshasa, etc. So to take out all those things and expect the Mahalakshmi to come and sit in that embryo. So this samskara is said to be Garbha Samskara. It has to be done for all the Garbhas. That is, whenever there is a pregnancy, the around third month, this has to be done. It's not done once and finished. It's not like that. It has to be done for every Garbha. And also, sometimes the bija, due to the bija Garbha, there may be some mass destruction kind of effects happening, the Janaghati Kshaya. So maybe different calamities happening due to the birth of something ill. So to stop such kind of ill forces taking birth, so this is called as the third samskara, and it is Pumsavana Unnayana, Pumsavana plus Unnayana. It is being done with a person who is well versed in both Ayurveda as well as Vaidika Karmanga. It involves both Ayurvedic procedures as well as the Vedic rituals. So the savana is one of the particles. It can be called as a time-based particle, savana kana. Ayurveda-based, Krishna Ayurveda-based Ayurveda. It gives a list of several kanas which are present in the body. There are several particles. One among them is the savana kana. So what it does? So now time-related kana means it helps to do the development required at specific time. Okay, third month one kind of development should happen, in fourth month, fifth month a different thing. So like that, every monthly embryo development, as well as even after the birth, the development of limbs, that is getting the strength to the limbs, even walking, crawling, walking, laughing. So everything, there is a developmental physiology which is present with respect to the even during the pregnancy as well as post pregnancy. So for all those things, the savanakana is going to play an important role. So when you set the time properly, it is like setting the timepiece. Previously we used to have the timepiece where you have to set that manually by rotating the key. So like that, setting the time particle properly and providing the rupata, which is stabilizing. It's like means it's like strong, making that embryo get a good shape and be strong. So that's what the rupata is. So nowhere it is biased towards any gender. There is no gender detection. There is no gender change, or there is nothing related to gender given here. It has to be done for all the garbha. It is a garbha samskara. So this method, special method, which was there in the scriptures, The Sankalpa and the Vyutpatti which is given here, it is by His Holiness Brahmarshi K.S. Nityananda Swamiji of Veda Vijnana Mandira Chikkamagaluru. He has been teaching Ayurveda from several years and helping the Ayurveda doctors uh, to get more insight into the depth of the Vedas and provide very good service to the society. So uh, we are all Natamastaka for his grace or towards this Karnataka, Kannada people, because he has been teaching all this in Kannada itself by translating them from original Brahmi language and Brahmi script, the scriptures which are written in that, to the Kannada. Now, as an example, what we see in the Charaka Samhita, let's try to explore the Charaka Samhita 4.8.19, the Sharirasthana. From 1 to 18 verses or the formulas, they talk about the different procedures starting from the Garbhadana and also how the development happens uh, till the time of Pumsavana. So it is clearly narrated, and it's not fully given all the details to the level what Bharadwaja has given in his Prasutika Vijnana. So for example, in the Garbhadana Samskara, many Purohits also know about, and also Jyotishis, astrologers, they know about selection of the proper date for the conception, and depending on like odd and even days, there are some formulas. So those are all hypotheses. You can't say that all those things will happen exactly like that, what it is considered. Gynecologists and doctors are well aware of these facts. So pregnancy is a journey. So nothing can be said exactly it is going to happen like that. But Sage Bharadwaja has identified all those things very properly. And for example, the different kinds of women like Hastini, Chittini, Padmini, Shankini, four major types of women where they have taken the birth and where they have shifted to the region of birth and region of residence. So depending on that, for example, the region of birth is somewhere uh, around the ocean, that is uh, near to the ocean, where it's more humid, and they are living in the place where it's barren land. The humidity is less. And in which place, for example, is it in Karnataka? So like that, uh, the different combinations of sutras, Sage Bharadwaja says about the body structures and behavior of the women based on all these things. So based on that, the conception formula, the Garbhadana Samskara formula changes. So it may be, for example, for the Padmini kind of woman in the Karnataka, and that too in maybe this Malenadu or Karavali. That's an ocean place, or in this forest area in the hills of Sahyadri. So sometimes the Padmini women, they will have the um ovulation around day 6. So nowadays you will see that the ovulation period is around from 12 to 14. 14 is a major one, but it's not a standard formula for all. So it varies according to the place and the person, the kind of person. That's what Sage Bharadwaja says, and based on that, the Garbhadana Samskara is carried out with the well-defined structures, well-defined rituals. There are several rituals based on where they have taken birth and where they are living. It's according to Sutrakaras, the sutra that is applicable based on their birth as well as their relocation. So it has to be considered. So when such procedures are done, the Garbha development happens properly. So there are some notions in the even in the Charaka Samhita given related to the Garbhadana, that selection of that particular day, even and odd days, even for getting the male and odd for getting the female. So all these notions are there, but none of them are exact rules. Okay, so it all depends, because three deha, or the body of the woman itself, is a very mysterious thing. So it's all the calculations. When it comes to the uh, level of Charaka, which is one of the latest epics as compared to the either the Bharadwaja or Atriya Samhita, Vajna Atriya Samhita, or Bharadwaja's Prasutika Vijnana. So here we get very less information, and the accuracy is also not up to the level of what Bharadwaja has done in its experiments. Nonetheless, let's try to drill down and narrow down our focus to the Charakas, this particular sutra, because up to 1 to 18, it's all the gradual development, even the gender development, internal bhava. Internal bhava means what are the emotions related to that particular, the spandana. The Pumsavana is also related to the particular spandana. Some of the sutras, uh, sutras like Ashwalayana, Apastambhaya, and Bodhayana, and also some of the smrutis like Aparashara, Yajnavalkya, Narada, and many major smrutis, they give some small phrases about the Pumsavana. The thing is, there was a difference of opinion among the people who practice Vaidya as well as people who are Vaidikas. Okay, the previously in the grama based, village based structure, grama paddhati, so there was a Vaidya, there was a Vaidika or a Purohita. So they were all leading a proper coordinated life, united lifestyle. So whenever uh, any marriage happens and conception happens around the third month, okay, um, whenever the signs of gestation become apparent, the physician or the Vaidya should administer the Pumsavana. That's what mainly the Vaidya. It was Vaidya Kartavya. So people used to, or women used to go to Vaidya and say their signs, and Vaidya used to perform this. So that's how it was happening. And Vaidya is not only doing the medical procedures, but also well aware of the Vedic rituals. In that context, if you see the Charaka Samhita, as well as in the later parts, later time, later generation, so there were clashes between the Vaidya and Vaidikas. So it's also noted in some of the historical itihasa, historical epics. So there was a differentiation among the Vaidyas and Vaidikas and their procedures. So Vaidyas were not allowed to, Vaidyo Aput, they say, Vaidyas were not allowed to learn the Vedic scriptures, and the traditional knowledge of Vaidyas was not given to Vaidikas. So such a gap existed. So that's why we see a lot of gap with respect to the Vedic scriptures and also the Charaka, and also these mainline Ayurvedic granthas which are published now. There are some differences, but when we see this in that context, when we see this Charaka Samhita, tayoho कर्मणा वेदोक्तेन विवर्तनमुपदिश्यते प्राग्व्यक्तिभावात् प्रयुक्तेन सम्यक्. So that's what it is saying. This verse based on Ayurveda based medical Pumsavana procedure mentioned in Charaka Samhita, Jati Sutriya Shariram Sthanam, which is Adhyaya 8, I think 8 or 82. So Adhyaya 8, 4, 8 and 19. Okay. It also emphasizes the actual procedure formulated in Vedic scriptures, if administered correctly, could stabilize the embryo. That's Pum. So it can stabilize the embryo. So Pragvikti Bhavat means with respect, Vyakti is the one who can appear by itself independently. So that is the Vyakti. Prakati Kruta the person who gets, the person or the thing which comes to the picture by itself, independent existence, that is the Vyakti Bhavat. Prag Vyakti Bhavat. Due to the previous development which has happened, Prag Vyakti Bhavat is of two types. One is due to the Purva Janma Samskaras and also the Matrija Pitrija Bhavas. That's a Matrika Varga and Pitru Varga. That's a genetic factor which has combined or recombined in this embryo. So one is the factors coming from the previous lives, that Runa and Karmas, and Sanyoga Karma, that is a conception related karma, which will have the maternal and paternal genetic factors. Next we see this second in the same sutra. It's a very big sutra, so it's divided here. Karunam hi deshakala sampadupetanam niyatamishtapalatvam tatetaresha mitaratvam. That is, when applied in the best of places and time, these procedures bear the desired fruit invariably always. Okay, desired fruit invariably always. That's due to the Savanakana, the time particle which we have discussed. Next, Tasmat Dapanna Garbham Striya Abhisamikshya Pragvyakti Bhavat Garbhasya Pumsavanamasye Dadyat. Therefore, after examining the woman who has conceived recently, before the signs of gestation become apparent, the physician should administer this Pumsavana. That's a procedure to beget a healthy offspring on her. Then comes the actual procedure, medical procedure. So this is, from here, it is one of the procedures. It's not the it's not like final. Everything has to be followed, whatever is given here. But it is one of the procedures in Pumsavana. There are several other herbs and mantras used in this as per the sutras, that is Mula Sutras of Sutrakaras, as well as the place of birth and place of relocation. So here, this is one example. So don't ever try to practice this without proper information. So this is just for the knowledge purpose of what is written in the scriptures. So only an authentic Vaidya or the Ayurveda Tagnya has to practice this. Okay, without the proper guidance, no one is supposed to practice this. So this all comes under the medical guidelines. Okay, so Goshte Jatasya Nyagrodasya Praguttaraabhyam Shakhabhyam Shunge Anupahate Adaya Dvabhyam Dhanyamashabhyam Sampudupetabhyam Gaurasashabhyam Vasah Tadni Prakshipya Pushena Pipit. So on the day of the appearance of the auspicious Pushya Nakshatra, one should collect 2 fresh leaf buds from a banyan tree, so which is Ficus religiosa lin, growing in a cowpen, which is typically an open ground or a range where cows are kept. From its eastern or northern side branches, there is a very high importance of cow. The nearness of cow itself will solve so many problems related to the embryo, that's during the pregnancy. So always it's recommended to go to goshalas, be near to the cows, do the go seva. So that itself will give the dridata to the garbha. And go seva, go mata itself is a Vishwa Mata. So with the blessings of all the devatas reside in the Gomata. So with the blessings of Gomata, there will be blessings of all the devatas. So it's always recommended to do some amount of seva to the cow. Go seva is very important for every human being. So we were talking about the cowpen from its which is grown, like this is a banyan tree which is growing in a copen from its eastern or northern side branches, then those leaf buds should be added to the curd and blended with either 2 good grains of masha, that's black gram. It's also called as the Phaseolus radiaticillin, or the black gram. Or it is also said to use the white mustard seeds, and then given to the expectant mother to drink. Next sutra, the same sutra continues and says, Tathaiva paran jivaka shabhaka paran jivaka arshabhaka apamarga sachara kalkamscha yugapadekaikasho yateshtavam apyupasamskritya payasa. That is, or she may be given milk to drink that has been processed with the paste of jivaka, rishabhaka and apamarga. So, there are these are standard herbs known to Ayurveda physicians. The apamarga, Acheranthis aspera, the Jivaka and Rishabhaka is also famous. Styreyaka, which is synonym for the Sahachara, which is Balaria cristatalin. Okay, so either all mixed into a paste together or separately as required as per the Deha Sthiti of the Garbhini. That is the pregnant woman, how her body is, the nature of her body, how it is now. So then, Kutya Kitakam Matsyakam Odakam Jalau Prakshipya Pushena Pibet. Or else she should be given a handful of water with Kudya and Kitaka. Here, 2 alternatives are said. Kudya, the Kudya in the Nigantus, it is that as bitti, or in the olden days, the Indian walls were usually made up of processed quicklime. Okay, that's what it is. The processed quicklime, or it comes in the sunna varga. So, which are processed by different ways, either from the natural minerals available in the hills or from the seashells, small ones, and even from certain herbs, it can be processed and produced. So these are all discussed in the Vaidika Rasa Shastra. So the Kitaka or Kitaja is also, it's Lacifer Lacquer, which is Laksha. It is used for example, I'm just taking one example here. So this Laksha, it is used for liver diseases, diarrhea, dysentery, intestinal parasites, injuries, fungal infections, eczema, scabies, herpes, hemostasis, internal bleeding disorders, hiccup, cough. So it is also used for the low bone mineral density, which is very important factor here in the Pumsavana, to stabilize the embryo, and Saptadhatu Sangatana happening properly, and the production of the Saptadhatus happening on time by the Savanakana, to reduce the jaundice, dropsy, kidney disease, reduces the fat, the adipose persons, okay, joint disorders, osteoporosis, osteomalacia, osteoarthritis, etc. Is also useful in obesity, renal and spleen disorders, jaundice, backache problems, leprosy, ulceration, epilepsy, and chickenpox. But it is misinterpreted as a type of insect. But it's not that. It's a reen. Actually, Laksha is a reen from which is constructed by those insects on the trees. It's a reen. It's which you get on those trees. So a small part of that can be used as per the requirement. Then the Matsyaka is it's a Alteranthera sessile. We call it as Honagane Soppu in Kannada. So therapeutic uses are like the Kusta and the Pitta Vikara, Rakta Vikara, etc. But this Matsyakam is also misinterpreted by translators as a type of small fish. So all these things are administered. So these are some sample dravyas or herbs. So there are several others uh, which are combined as per the requirement on the occasion of the Pushya Nakshatra. They say not only Pushya, there are other nakshatras also which are there in the Jyotish Shastra. They are mentioned. Next, in the same sutra, we have this one. Tatha Kanakamayan Rajatana Ayasamscha राजतानायसांश्च पुरुषकानग्निवर्णान् अणुप्रमाणान् दध्नि पयस्युदकाञ्जलौ वा प्रक्षिप्य पिबेदनवशेषतः पुष्येण. Similarly, on the event of Pushya Nakshatra or the specified nakshatra for the Pumsavana, she should drink handful of curd milk or water without leaving any leftover, which is duly immersed either in an utensil made of gold, silver, iron, and giving the coloring agent, that is Purushaka. Purushaka is blue coloring herbs, metals or minerals, and Agnivarnan, herbs, metals or minerals which are giving the color of fire. So an utensil can be prepared by using these things with the specified Anupramana. So Anupramana is, so each metal or mineral is identified how much proportion it has to be put. It's by the calculation of physics, is the Anupramana, the atomic weight, how much uh, atoms will occupy, how much atoms will is going to provide how much density and the weight. So based on that, proper combination has to be done. Blacksmith knows this. Okay, he's going to prepare that kind of proper bowl on which in which she should put a handful of curd milk or water, and it has to be drunk fully. Okay, so this is one way. Another method is the normal utensil made up of either mud or wooden or any of these metals. In case of it's not available or the blacksmith is not ready to, we don't get a blacksmith who can do this. So the remaining metals and the herbs are administered as nanoparticles to the Bhasma Prayogas. The very small amount of Bhasmas of this taken and combined as per the standard rules of Shastra. So it can be administered. So everything here requires a careful examination and also the guidance from the Ayurveda physician. So, for example, how this is Purushako is uh, giving this blue color is, Kaya Deva Nikantu is there, in which the Oshadi Varga says like Purushako Nilavarno Dhanvano Dhanvanachada Paravato Mrudupalah Purusha Paru Parushakam Kashayam Lam Lagushnam Swadpitalam Ruksham Varatachit Pakvam Swadpamlam Shukralam Himam Rochanam Madhuram Pake Hrityam Vittam Vibrahmanam Hanti Marata Pittasra Trishna Daha Kshatakshayan. So like this, he gives the Nilavarna. From there it has been picked. The blue coloring agent. So all natural coloring agent, nothing artificial has to be done here. Next, Kishenaiva cha Shali Pistasya Pachyamana Soshmana Mupagraya Tasyeva cha Pishtasyodaka Samsrishtasya Rasam Dehalya Mupanidhaya. Similarly, on the occasion of Pushya Nakshatra or the selection, the day which is selected by the administered by the Ayurveda Vaidya, uh, the, the pregnant woman should be made to inhale the steam emanating from steaming dish of powdered shali rice. Okay, shalyanna we say it as. So okay, taking the steam while it is being cooked. So at that time she has to inhale the steam emanating from that steaming dish, and she herself should daub into her right nostril using a cotton swab. Okay, take the cotton swab and dab it to right nostril, drops of water from that same cooking pot by placing her head on the door sill. Okay, Daranda said. So there are again the region based changes here. So in some places, women perform this procedure. Okay, other women, or in some places the Vaidya himself or herself will do this, and in some places um, the Purohits do this. Okay, so it again varies. Uh, so he has said nothing about getting like pouring the uh, right nostril to get the male child and pouring in the left nostril to get the female child. Nothing like that is said by Charaka. But in the later texts, you see that they have interpreted it in that way. Okay, so there is nothing like that. It's the Nasya Prayoga which is specified in the right nostril itself. There is no change in that. Okay. Echanyadapi brahmana bruyurapta va striyah pumsavanamishtam tachanushteyam iti pumsavanani. So this particular formula, the 19th shloka or the 19th sutra, so it is saying that in addition to these rituals which are said here, any other measures as per the local practices of region of living as suggested by the brahmanas or the one who are well versed, experienced and well favoring ones for the women, and also well-versed women, what they recommend in terms of this has to be done in the Pumsavana, so that can be applied. So those are called as local practices, and those has to be applied only if they are safe. Okay, there should not be any problem, even if it is a local practice. It should not be problematic or allergic even for that woman. That very high level of care has to be taken for pregnancy. This concludes the verse on the Pumsavana. Okay, so this um, talk is to create an awareness, public awareness about the real notion of Pumsavana Samskara, which is basically the embryo stabilization procedure. So you also have the Garbhadana Samskara in the beginning, beginning of the conception, and you have in between the caring in terms of proper nourishment and also providing a feeling in terms of being being husband and the family members being very near and helping the pregnant woman. So that is the main thing which provides the embryo stabilization. Original intention of the Vedic scriptures and the Charaka Samhita in the Pumsavana Samskara, what it is for the embryo stabilization, and it's not nothing related to the gender selection. So there is also a caution provided in the beginning itself about the act what we have in the government of India. So uh, saying that the Ayurvedic scriptures and the Vedic scriptures are also against such blind belief and the mass hysteria of gender determination and or the gender change in the name of Pumsavana Samskara. There is nothing related to that. To stress this factor, and we are always with the people. Okay, Ayurveda is with the people. There is no gender bias. There is no gender discrimination. There is no killing of female child. Nothing is mentioned. So no mention of gender determination or gender change as part of the Pumsavana procedure in Charaka Samhita. So that's an example how one of the core Samhitas, as well as even in the original Bharadvajas and Atreya Samhitas, so how the um, conception related things are there, and also the Pumsavana Samskara is provided. So these are all coming under the Garbhapurva Samskaras. So starting from the Garbhadana, Pumsavana, and in the 5th month, the Avalobhana, which is the Vedic scanning method to find out any abnormal development, then providing the treatment in the same by using the Ayurvedic procedure and also Vedic procedure. Then you have the Vishnubali if there is no nourishment, the proper nourishment problems and all Vishnu Bali is given, administered in the month of 5 to 6. It depends on again the particular case by case study. So in 6, 7 and 8, and in some cases 9th month also. So according to the different places, as I said, place of birth, body development, and the local practice, and the Jyotisha, that is astrology, astrological factors, it's a Kagoda Vidyamanas. So then, and also based on how the pregnant woman is now. So what is her Dehasthiti? Okay, identifying all these, the Simantonnayana procedure has to be done, which is as per the Katyayana and major women related scholars and scientists and Vaidyas who have identified this very great procedure of Simantonnayana of 3 days with all the scientific procedures involved, all the medical procedures involved in that. So it's a journey to make the pregnancy smooth and get a good offspring. Sat praja vruddhyate is the sankalpa everybody has to do. So let's all try to practice our ancient methods of Garbhadana, Pumsavana, and all other Garbhapurva Samskaras in their original intention, and let's all move together rather than having the blind beliefs and also creating the mass hysteria. So let's identify the proper things which are mentioned in our scriptures and perform a in-depth scientific analysis. We have a lot of support now from the Indian government to perform such research. So let's respective wings take up this kind of research and come up with the practices which upholds the authenticity of our scriptures. Saying that, I would like to end this lecture. So this lecture is a part of the public awareness created by the Brahmi Ayurveda Clinic, Chikkamagaluru. Namaste.